Five Nights at Freddy's has a ton of characters, and if you've been a fan since the early days, like me, you've probably noticed something interesting. Some characters have more than one name. Over the years, the FNaF community has made up a lot of fan names, and few of them actually became official. So in this video, we are going over the most popular fan names in FNaF, where they come from, and how they eventually made their way into canon. If you like this type of content, make sure you leave a like and subscribe. It seriously helps me out and gives me that dopamine boost I strive for. With all that out of the way, I hope you enjoy. One of the most famous fan names ever is Golden Freddy. Technically, Golden Freddy wasn't his original name. If you look in the game files, you'll find that the model is actually called Yellow Bear. It's funny, because now we have Yellow Rabbit for Spring Bonnie, and honestly it kinda fits that Golden Freddy's original name was Yellow Bear. The name Golden Freddy seemed to catch on when big YouTubers started playing the first game, and apparently it stuck. Eventually, even the official merch started using it, turning it a fan nickname into canon. But Golden Freddy isn't the only one in FNaF 1. Phone Guy isn't actually officially called Phone Guy until UCN. Before that, the community agreed that Phone Guy just kinda made sense. Chica's Cupcake was nicknamed Carl by the fans. Eventually, Scott actually gave it an official name years later as Mr. Cupcake. The name even popped up on Funko figures and eventually made it into the FNaF movie. FNaF 2 added a lot of new characters, which means the fans had plenty of more opportunities to come up with names. The puppet or the marionette isn't officially called either name in FNaF 2. Phone Guy only ever calls it that puppet thing, and over time both names became used interchangeably. Even Scott seemed to flip between the two, so whether you call it the puppet or the marionette, you're technically using an official fan-made name. Now we have the Withered animatronics. Originally their files were labeled as old versions of Freddy, Bonnie, and so on, but the fans started calling them Withered versions instead. The names caught on so well that they eventually became official in the character encyclopedia. And of course Purple Guy, or sometimes Pink Guy depending on the game sprite. Purple Guy is also another iconic fan name. In the early games, he was simply just listed as Man. Fans filled in the blanks and created one of the most famous FNaF names of all time. Even the Shadow animatronics started as fan names. Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie didn't have consistent names until later on, when official merch and games started referencing to them directly. I will point out that Shadow Bonnie does have a game file title named RWQFSFASXC, but that's honestly not really a name. When FNaF 3 teasers dropped, fans were instantly obsessed with this new, creepy animatronic. But he didn't have an official name yet, so of course the fandom just needed to make their own name for this animatronic. Some of the early names included Hybrid, Salvage, and Golden Bonnie. Hybrid and Salvage came from the theories that the character was a mix of old animatronics from past games. Golden Bonnie was pretty straightforward. Eventually, Scott confirmed the name Springtrap in a Steam community post. Moving on to FNaF 4, the tiny Freddles that crawl on your bed were originally called mini monsters in the game files, but fans thought that was kinda bland and started calling them Freddles instead. The name stuck so much that it became the default name in community discussions and even in official materials later on. Pizza? FNaF 6 or Pizzeria Sim might have the most fan names from any game in the series. When the teasers dropped showing a version of Circus Baby next to a poster with the word Freak, fans immediately dubbed her Freak Show Baby. But in the game's credits, her real name was revealed to be Scrap Baby, which sounds way more in line with the game's theme. Then there's Scrap Trap, who was originally just called William Afton in the credits. Fans also used names like Salvage Springtrap or Springtrap 2, but Scrap Trap eventually became the non-official name. In the official character encyclopedia, he is still referred to as William Afton. Helpy is another fun one. Originally, he was just called Little Freddy in the game files, but some fans started to call him Fun Size Freddy. Scott later on confirmed in a community post that his real name is indeed Helpy. When FNaF VR Help Wanted came out, fans were once again faced with a new mysterious animatronic. Before his name was confirmed, people threw around a few ideas: Malhair, V-Rabbit, and Virtua Rabbit. Eventually, Glitchtrap became the most popular and soon the official name once it appeared on merch and even in the encyclopedia. Before Security Breach released, a lot of characters' names were leaked, except for two, Sun and Moon. Fans noticed candy posters for Sundrop and Moondrop, and decided those should be the characters' names, and it kinda stuck. Even when the official names were revealed to be Sun and Moon, the fan names Sundrop and Moondrop stayed somewhat popular. And that's pretty much the full history of fan-made names in the FNaF franchise. And it's kinda sad, honestly. These days, Scott and Steelwool give official names to every character right away, so we don't really get those fun nicknames anymore. Again, if you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and dropping a like, it really helps the channel out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.